So, laughter, the antidote to nephrology nurses' stress. Big question mark. Does it work? Well, you tell me. I'm a greeting card fanatic. I spend hours in greeting card sections of stores, laughing, but I spent a hell of a lot of money in there too. So here we go. I have sent this to at least 3 not urology nurses. I'm afraid I don't know any urology nurses, but I've sent this to at least 3 nephrology nurses. Urology department, can you hold? On your birthday, just relax and go with the flow. We can all relate, can't we? So, the original title of this talk was, What's So Funny About Nephrology Nursing? And I can explain that because when I was sitting in Felicia's session in 2021, she is a social worker for Fresenius, and her title, and this is why I say you can't read that from way back there, was Caring for Ourselves While Caring for Others. And she was talking about stress reduction. And as I was listening, she was very good. Hey, Felicia, if you're out there. It really occurred to me that, yes, there are so many different ways to relieve stress besides medication, even getting more sleep, that's one way, but there are so many ways. But I always rely back on laughter, and that has history. So I'm going to tell you about that history in just a minute, but first of all, I want to cover the goals of this presentation. I am hoping that after this presentation, not only will you fly home safely, but you'll do it with a lot of enjoyment and laughter, that you'll be able to engage in guilt-free stress reduction through planned social and educational activities, especially those that provide the opportunity to laugh. We all like to laugh, I think. And that you'll be able to utilize humor to effectively engage and educate patients and staff. So this isn't just all fluff and bubble and he. This is going to be about the science. But while we're talking about stress, I had to throw this one in there too, because I have a daughter-in-law who loves to color, and she's the one who told me it relieved stress. And then I found this card for her birthday, which was just wonderful. So my specific objectives for this talk is that you will be able to describe funny in both terms of a stressor and a stress reducer, because it is both, and I'll tell you how. Then we're going to describe and define the evolution of the science gelotology. Show of hands. I can't see for the lights, but show of hands, who hasn't heard the term gelotology before? Okay, you're in for a treat. You will be able to describe the application of gelotology to professional education and practice. And I would like for you, both at home, all of those who are watching virtually, and please forgive me because I didn't welcome you, to this session as well. And you can come on down too, those who are watching virtually. But I want you to identify your personal funny stories. If what I have to say strikes a chord in you about what you've experienced with your patients, with your team, think about it, and think about how it's worth relating and helping your co-workers laugh, etc., and your patients. So share them, and you're welcome, and I've got my email at the last slide, you're welcome to send them to me because I'm collecting, okay? So defining funny in terms of both a stressor and a stress reducer. What does funny mean? The Oxford Dictionary says that funny can mean either humorous, as in we laugh about it, or something very difficult to explain or understand, strange, odd. But the key word is different. We always say, he's kind of funny, isn't he? Is something going on with him? He's behaving funny. I don't know what's going on. You know, it's just It's not, it is a stressor. Different is stressful, and that is the key word here. But to get into that history I was telling you about, how all this got started, back in the day, and Jennifer didn't get to tell you my whole history, and that's okay, but after I was transplant coordinator, we moved to somewhere where I couldn't do that. I loved it, but we couldn't do it. So I learned hemodialysis, and that was pretty important. And so I was then being a hemodialysis nurse, and when we moved to North Carolina in 1991, I joined Wake Dialysis. We had a pretty run-down little unit, 24 stations, the building was falling apart, and so they were building and starting to build this very fancy new dialysis unit. That's when we learned that we needed to learn to laugh, because when we moved to this dialysis unit, we needed to laugh because we were under stress. In this early 90s, this place, 48 stations. We went from 24 to 48 stations overnight, and they decided to be very efficient to have all the stations filled right away. We didn't have the staff to take care of 48 stations, and besides, we found that this place, they had not consulted nurses, and that's a big mistake when you're building any kind of healthcare facility, but I think especially a dialysis unit. I may be, yeah. But anyway, we called it the Dialysis Palace because around every machine and station, they had wallpaper within 2 to 3 feet of the bloodlines. And I'm sure I'm the only one that's ever had a bloodline come apart. Okay. So that was the first thing. The second thing was I was mostly a charge nurse at that time. And these were solid concrete floors, and I should have worked out the square footage. It was huge. 48 stations, but they had them in pods of 4. And they had these massive pillars between the stations. So in order to see a patient, and very high counters in between. So in order to see a patient, you had to walk into that pod of 4 to be able to see a patient, the whole of the patient and the whole of the machine. So if you're the charge nurse, and charging was what I had to do, I had to charge around the whole time. I was run ragged, and I wasn't even 50 then. You know, it was tough. And we were short-staffed. We were trying to train new staff. We just thought we were really stressed. So about 5 of us would get together and go out to a Thai place that wasn't too far away, and we'd have dinner. And I think we probably drank some, some alcohol was involved. But we'd get there about 6 o'clock. We'd close the place down at 11 o'clock. And we were there laughing, telling stories. And we just had the best time. And it de-stressed us, but mostly we were talking about our patient load and how short-staffed we were. I was getting a little ahead of myself then, because I did not realize until the pandemic and what you all have been through and working with, we really didn't have a nursing shortage. We coped, and we coped very well, but we felt sorry for ourselves, basically. This was a cartoon I found about a year ago, and it's not funny. There's no one laughing. Ever notice how we take certain things for granted until they're gone? So true. Buzz, 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 nursing shortage. You're not going to get anywhere. And the little print there says, Our Lady of Perpetual Understaffing Hospital. Not funny, but so true. So I know that you all have been through a lot this last couple of years, as have we all. So we had these mini dinner meetings to de-stress and laugh, and that was great fun. We told stories, patient interactions. We weren't negative. I don't think we ever put a patient down. It wasn't that kind of humor. It was just silly stories. And I could tell you a couple of them, but you might not relate.